Amongst the scenes, which one's the most challenging? I mean, there's a pool scene that was very challenging because when we shot it, it was like 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It was about 9 degrees Celsius that night, and it was really, really cold. So I was getting in and out of the pool, and so was Rhiannon. Every time they yelled cut, they put like blankets over her. We were shaking. So it was the only time that was, because I can act through hunger, I can act through a lot of heat, which I've done in my Christmas movies. But when you're cold, your skin starts to like, show the goosebumps and your teeth. I think at one point Colin's like, Alec, your teeth are chattering. He's like, Colin, I can't control that. Like, so
Welcome, everyone, to this exciting interview segment here at Survival Shows. I'm Desiree, and today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Alec Santos, star of the Hallmark movie A Machu Picchu Proposal. Join us as we delve into Alec's insights into his character and the challenges of filming this movie. Thank you for being here with us, Alec.
thank you. It's a pleasure as always. So wonderful to speak to you.
For me too. So, how did you first connect with Chef Carlos as a character, and what about his personality or arc resonated with you?
So Chef Carlos is a man who loves life. He has what the French like to call a joie de vivre, and it's pouring out of him. It just comes out of his pores. He loves everyone. He loves food. He loves people. He loves culture. He believes that everyone has a story. And when I saw that character, I got really excited to play him because what better headspace to be in than in Chef Carlos. Now there are aspects of me that are a bit like that, but I'm not like Chef Carlos every day. But I definitely could use a little more Chef Carlos in my life.
Yeah, great. And given that Carlos is a chef in a Peruvian setting,
Mhm.
what research did you do into Peruvian cuisine or culinary culture to inform your portrayal?
Sure. So I've always loved Peruvian food. I traveled there when I was 12, and whatever city I ended up living in, we always looked for the Peruvian restaurant. The way they cook potatoes. They have this thing called a papa la huancaina, like their sauces, their ceviche. Like a lot of places, a lot of Latin American countries make ceviche, but the way they make it, there's something extra special about it. And so most of my Peruvian research has been just eating. I haven't ventured into making any of it. So in that sense, I was pretty ready. I was lucky that Chef Carlos does very little cooking in the film. He does like, a couple things here and there, but he mostly spends his time eating. And I must say, I'm very, very good at eating. So
Great, yeah, amazing. And the film involves multiple cultures. Did you draw on your multilingual background for any language or accent work for Carlos? And if so, how?
so yeah, so I think the last movie I did, I had a Puerto Rican accent, and I actually had an accent when I spoke English. This one, they didn't want an accent. He's Carlos is Mexican American. Presumably just kind of like my life. One parent is Mexican and one parent is American. So he has that, bilingual background. He can jump back and forth without an accent. So I do speak Spanish quite a bit in the film, with the Peruvian actors and the people in the market, and there is quite a bit of it, which was which was really great. There is something about, like obviously you speak Italian, but there's something about speaking in a Latin-based language that brings out the Carlos out of me as well. There's just something sweeter and phonetically, it's almost like an embrace. English is a bit cold when you speak it, but a Latin language, a Spanish or a Portuguese, really does feel like a warm hug. So It's really I feel very, very lucky that I learned those languages when I was a kid, and I feel even luckier that I get to do them on camera. What a privilege. So yeah, you never know. You never know when your parents tell you, to learn that second language. You never know how useful it might become when you're older.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about your co-stars, what was your approach to building chemistry with lovely Rhiannon Fish's character, Katy, especially as they navigate the chaos of a ruined proposal?
So, Rhiannon was coming off shooting another movie when I first got there, and she was pretty exhausted. We were in Cusco, and Cusco is a really high elevation, and all of the crew, everyone had gotten sick from the previous movie, and so she was coming off this, and I was sort of arriving. And I've obviously known about Rhiannon for a while. I was a fan of hers in the show called The Hundred, so I was very
Yeah,
excited to work with her. Yeah, right, and meet her. And we got along from the get-go. We had immediate chemistry because we were walking down the street and all of a sudden we saw a cat and we both kind of just ran into that cat. We realized we were both cat people, and there is something particularly unique about cat people. And so when they meet another person, you immediately have this connection. So our chemistry resonates from our love for cats, and that's where it comes from. And it grew out of that.
yeah, amazing. And did you film on location in Peru or recreate settings elsewhere? I think you were in location, right?
Yeah, everything was on location. Yeah, the
Yeah.
um, the movie is really, really beautiful. Very small camera crew, sound crew, everyone was kind of hands on deck. Like our cinematographer was also our camera operator. But as a result, the run and gun aspect of it makes the movie feel really fluid. Like we are every scene we're somewhere different. And we were there experiencing those very things. Like we were at Machu Picchu, right? It's easy to feel odd when you're there. Like it's in the shot, I just watched it, and in the shot, like it feels like we were there by ourselves. And yeah, I don't know. There's no greater gift than shooting on location because the pretending is a lot easier to do and it's real.
Yeah, exactly. And what was the most unexpected logistical or creative challenge during those shots? I mean, in location.
Well, I mean, there were a number of them. We shot in a few plazas, and the noise is a big one. We'd be in the middle of a scene talking, and all of a sudden you'd hear a bark or a siren, so you'd have to stop, wait for it to die down, and then continue. We were there in the winter months, which means a lot of rain. So we don't have any trailers or anything. So as soon as it started to rain, everyone had to pack up, leave the area, and just sit, in a cafe until it died down, then go out and shoot. Or in some cases, we're on the side of a mountain, there was nowhere to hide, so we'd go into the bus and huddle in the bus. Um, but in the end of the day, it made us, the actors and the crew, so much closer to each other because it felt like we were in some summer camp almost, just hanging out together and doing this really, really fun project. So yeah, and the altitude, everyone dealt with it a different way. My issue with the altitude was I couldn't sleep. The first week, I may have slept 6 or 7 hours the entire week. And other like our grip, he had like tachycardia issue. So there were lots of different challenges, but like I said, when you shoot on location, it kind of you kind of forget about all those things a little bit.
Yeah. And Carlos, disrupt a carefully planned proposal. How did you find the right balance between comedy, romantic tension, and sincerity in those pivotal moments?
That's a great question. How do you find balance between comedy, tension? I think my comedic situation is that I'm unaware of the entire, and I'm trying to figure out what's happening. And so my comedic timing is more I'm more of a vessel for the audience who's watching to witness the lunacy, the craziness between these two twins. And so I think mine's kind of like the straight man comedy they call it, where it's like I'm just sort of neutral and the craziness happens around me. And then there's also the aspect of like how do I make Carlos a sort of lovable individual because ultimately he can like there's a fine line between him being really annoying and him being lovable because Carlos is, one of those spiritual guys and he finds meaning in everything and in every connection. But it can, if he was too much of that, it could venture off into, like those white guys that become shamans and in Tulum or something. I don't want Carlos to be that. So it was definitely a fine line. And ultimately, if the crew who is working hard hours all day long, listening to you talk all day, if they start to chuckle and laugh, you've done a good job. So pay attention to your crew, because I think, because in the end of the day, you don't really know. It's like even stand-up comedians, even famous ones, when they go up in front of an audience with new material, they always have to test it out because they don't know if people are gonna laugh. So yeah, comedy is always difficult that way.
Yeah. And how did you and the production team ensure respectful representation of local traditions and the significance of Machu Picchu in the story?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, right? So I think it was on everyone's mind when we traveled to Peru, how to make an authentic travel movie, right? Ultimately, it is a travel movie, so right, most of us are coming in there, but the Peruvian, all the Spanish speaking people were Peruvian. It was a Peruvian cast. Juliana Wimbles, the writer, was very sure to consult everyone there about their traditions. It went through a series of edits. We made sure we explored everything carefully. It really does. The movie feels like, a Stanley Tucci or Anthony Bourdain travel eating film with the side part of the romantic comedy, the loving eyes. You do like the people in the market are people that work at the market, and they were compensated, after we shot there. The Basically everyone we interacted with was legitimate. There's an actor who shows us how to do this indigenous ceremony, this indigenous dish called the pachamanca, and he was himself of Inca descent as well. So, and we talked to him about it, and if he found something that was, slightly incorrect in the screenplay, he was happy to point it out. So it was a very collaborative group. We made sure there were no egos on board. Ultimately, this is a movie about, three things, love, food, and Peru. So we wanted all those to be equally represented.
Amazing. And were there cooking sequence or demos you had to train for? How did you make on-screen culinary actions feel authentic?
How do you make like the cooking scenes feel authentic?
Yeah.
Uh, well, I mean, the empanada scene is very authentic. That's a real oven. The empanadas are really made there. The chef who made the empanada was right on hand. He showed us how to do it, and so we would just do it. I think it also comes from my partner is obsessed with watching cooking shows, so I've seen a lot of those with her. So I was like, you know what? If Chef Carlos, if he was on a cooking show, what he would sound like? And there's a scene where I'm explaining chocolate, and so I think I drew from that. No, so thanks to her obsession with
Yeah.
watching cooking shows, I had that on board. So I think yeah, a combination of that. I mean, who doesn't like to eat? So in order to enamor yourself with food, it's pretty easy, I think.
Yeah. Great. And what insights or guidance did the director Colin Pace provide that influenced your performance choices for Carlos?
So Colin, Rhiannon called him the big sort of teddy bear because he's taller than I am. So I'm 6'2", but Colin's like 6'4". So he towers over everyone. You know, in Peru, everyone's really short. I think the average height is 5 feet tall. So you think he'd be intimidated, but he's not. He's like as tall as he is. He's just such a, as Rhiannon called him, a teddy bear. He was just so gentle with his directions, and he was so aware of the surroundings and aware of the limitations of a certain place. And it always felt like it was collaborative. He has a wonderful way of talking to actors. Instead of like directing them to do something, he tries to figure out why we're doing it a certain way. And I only found this out later, but Carlos is a character inspired by someone in Colin's life, someone I think that he went to college with. One of those people that just lit up the room, that it was slightly annoying every time he met. And so talking to him, like even my character development as Carlos was really useful because I had Colin there. So yeah, there was no there was very, very little sort of ego involved in his production, and it was led by Colin and his just sort of spectacular way to absorb everything around him and teach and direct at the same time.
Great. Among the scenes you filmed, which stands out as most challenging or rewarding for you, and why?
Amongst the scenes, which one's the most challenging? I mean, there's a pool scene that was very challenging because when we shot it, it was like 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It was about 9 degrees Celsius that night, and it was really, really cold. So I was getting in and out of the pool, and so was Rhiannon. Every time the yell cut, they put like blankets over her. We were shaking. So it was the only time that was, because I can act through hunger, I can act through a lot of heat, which I've done in my Christmas movies. But when you're cold, your skin starts to like, show the goosebumps, and your teeth. I think at one point Colin was like, "Alec, your teeth are chattering." He's like, "Colin, I can't control that." Like, so that was very challenging. I wouldn't say it was the most rewarding. I mean, all the scenes in Machu Picchu were definitely the most rewarding because it was a long day we were there. Machu Picchu is an incredibly preserved human monument, and the Peruvian people do a wonderful job of that. Right? I think our character mentions that there are like time slots, only a certain amount of people can go a day, and us as a film crew, we had to be very respectful of the area. So as a result, we can only bring in a minimal amount of crew and very, very little equipment. We can only bring stuff we could carry. And so we were there all day, it was a 12-hour day inside Machu Picchu. And it was challenging in the sense at one point it started raining. In the beginning, there was this like thick fog and you couldn't see anything. But the moment you saw Machu Picchu, it was like it really is one of those monuments that even the beautiful photos don't do it justice. Even when it's like the people are like, oh, like you have to visit it because it's one of the most beautiful things to visit in a planet. You still go there and you're like, yeah, yeah, it is. I'm really glad I came. This is so incredible, every single aspect of it. So yeah, I think all the scenes we shot in Machu Picchu were just unreal, unreal.
Amazing. And when viewers see Chef Carlos helping to find the most romantic spots in all of Peru, when what do you hope they will take away about his outlook on love, travel, or spontaneity?
I mean,
In
can't
other
can't they take away all three?
words,
I mean, travel. I think I watched this movie with my partner, and she was like, I just wanted to go to all these places that you went. You do feel that sense of traveling with them, and um, and I think travel brings out spontaneity in people because in the end of the day, we all have this routine in the place where we live, because we're waking up in the same bed. We all have a job we go to, or maybe, or just we're stuck to this. And it's because we are comfortable humans and that's what we do. And what travel allows us to do is it allows us to become somebody new. It allows us to maybe have a new routine. It allows us to maybe if I have my heart closed for one reason or another, when I travel, for some reason those the locks around my heart may loosen up a bit and they may open. So yeah, and so I think the lesson would be why can't we bring back that feeling, that sense of when we travel of wonder back to our home and back to our daily lives. So if we could do that, that'd be great.
Amazing. Any anecdotes about bonding with cast or crew that highlight how the atmosphere influenced your work?
Yeah, so anecdotes with cast and crew. I completely adore and I completely love everyone on this cast and crew. Paula, who was my makeup. I called her my sister. We had this like bond. Maribel, who would do my hair, was everyone's like calm, and we call her our mother because she had this like energy towards her.
Yeah,
Chris, who plays the twin brother, like we spent so much time together laughing. We hiked together. Michelle, who plays his future fiance, took me around the Sacred Valley and we explored it. It was just up and down. It was just incredible. Like Brandon, who was our DP, had the most amazing voice, and I could just listen to him sing all day. So in the end, yeah, it did feel that way. It felt like, a kid going to summer camp, meeting the best friends of his life, and then summer camp is over, and then you never see these people again. Hopefully you do if you do another movie, but that's what
yeah,
it feels like. There is a movie in there. If there was a documentary following us, that's even worthy of itself because it would show all the challenges that we had, but also all the fun. We it was at the end of it we had like a dance party, sort of it's called a rap party.
yeah.
And a rap party in Latin America, I tell you, is a little bit different than a rap party in North America, in Canada or the United States. We were dancing all night till like 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a live band, and everyone dancing, everyone, all ages and the band. And Michelle went up there and sang on stage. We had all the pisco sours. It was really, really a joy to be a part of.
Amazing. And after seeing the final cut, did any moments surprise you or shift your interpretation of Carlos in hindsight? Insight?
Yeah, so you're always really nervous, right, when you watch yourself on screen for the first time because you have an idea of how it is in your head, but you don't really know how people are going to perceive it. So yeah, when I watch it, I generally watch other people's reactions, see if, but it does, and the movie works because of the pacing. We are in an incredible place after another. It does feel like an adventure. There are some very, very funny moments to it. The chemistry feels real between, myself and Rhiannon. And Rhiannon and her brother too. They play twins and they really do feel like twins. The way they bicker, the way they talk, the way they look. And yeah, so ultimately, I think this movie is a wonderful success, and I do believe people are gonna, and I hope people feel the same way.
Amazing. And have you seen early audience reactions? How do they compare to what you expected when preparing for the role?
Well, I haven't seen too many audience reactions yet. Just so I don't know. I mean, I've spoken to uh, reporters that have seen it, and so
Yeah,
far the feedback is great. Yeah, if they it, if people are just amazed, ultimately, I think all the reactions I've gotten so far is like, I really want to go to Peru, and if that's what you hear, it's like, great, we've done our job. You want to go to Peru, you want to be part of that experience. So yeah.
yeah, great. And so, change of a subject.
Hmm.
Talking about your future project and aspiration. Um, Are there directors, writers, or actors you haven't worked with but hope to collaborate with in the future?
Well, yes. I mean, there's one becomes an actor because one falls in love with film, television, and so many shows.
Yeah,
I I'm very, very far away in Canada with from the international uh movie world. And growing up, and still to this day, my favorite director is Almodovar, right, from Spain. And so I know Almodovar doesn't watch Hallmark films, but maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he'll
maybe.
watch the podcast. So if I could be in an Almodovar production, I think my life would be complete. I just love his stories. I love the way he writes about people. They feel so real. I love he was the sort of the first one that talked about LGBTQ people in the 90s. Um, so yeah, Almodovar would be my favorite director to ever work with. And on same vein, if I could work with Mexican actor Gael Garcia Bernal, I think I would,
Yeah,
because and when I was thinking of Chef Carlos, Gael comes to mind, the way he is as a person. He plays a role in Mozart in the Jungle. He plays this gregarious conductor, and there was a lot of parallels between the two. I think so. I even inspire Carlos and Gael's character in that. So if I could be in a movie, maybe that's directed by Almodovar with Gael, then sign me up. I could die the next day and I'd be happy for sure.
great. And a curiosity, given your role as a chef here, and you say your partner loves the hosting culinary program, would you consider hosting or producing a culinary travel show format that merge your passion for food and storytelling?
I mean, the only way I'm going to a culinary competition is if Tara, my partner, comes with me, because maybe I'll do all the line cook stuff like chop stuff, but she'll be, if as long as she's in charge of the cooking, I think we'll do really well. I think Gordon Ramsay will be really impressed, uh,
Amazing.
and will be good television too, because she'll probably get mad at me a few times.
And the last question, as usually for me, what projects you're excited to talk about that upcoming your upcoming project?
Yeah, so I guess this movie gets released, and then one of my old films is released right after that, the Unwrapping series. I'm really excited for people to see that on the cable channel. As far as like new projects, I can't really divulge much right now. It's the NDA aspect of it.
Yeah,
But I'm just really, really happy and excited to be part of the Hallmark family again, and I hope we do more together. So we loved and enjoyed each other's company so much in this film that there is talks with them that doing something together in the future. So hopefully that works out. And yeah,
great. So this is it. Make sure all of you to catch A Machu Picchu Proposal next Saturday night on Hallmark Channel. And thank you, Alec, to join us today.
no, thank you, muchas gracias, grazie mille.
Grazie mille. And thank you all for watching. Bye.
Thank you.